Hey everybody, what is going on? A couple of seconds late, but hey, we're here live. It is Ace Babie's 2024 Disc Golf Tour Adventures with, of course, Rebecca Minnick, aka Ace Babie.
Baby.
I didn't do that last week, and I later felt bad about that.
No worries.
Now, we left off last week with the tournament. So after the Open at Austin, we just stayed in Austin.
Yes.
Um, uh, do you think that I'm going to ask this question before I kind of get going because I'm curious about this. Do you think that affected the crowds?
Um, Maybe so, because if people, especially if people like traveled from farther away and wanted to go to the Open Austin, then they're much less likely to stay 2 weeks. But I
Right.
do know that there's a good number of people that really are like they support the FPO field a lot more than they support the MPO field. You have people that support the exactly like the MPO field, and then people that just really enjoy watching the FPO side of things and think it's more interesting. So,
Mm-hmm. So I just saw a lot of people talking about that, and I was just like, it looked like some good crowds to me from where I was watching on TV. So I just thought I would ask because I don't know. But to me, I just thought 2 weeks in the same city, back to back, it seemed a little much to me. But hey,
yeah, I'm really glad that they did it that way, and I think a lot of us were because, before you when you have U.S. Women's, obviously it's going to be a different place next year. I believe Wisconsin. Um, you're wherever you are normally on the tour stop, and then you have to like just stop what you're doing there. You don't really have a specific direction to go, but it's like, okay, maybe it's 8 hours, 12 hours away. Like you don't know exactly where it's going to be. It could be extremely far from the pro tour. So this time it was just extremely convenient for everybody. Even the guys, could be here and, participate some in US women's and Vend or Caddy or whatever, because it was along the same stop, it's all in the Texas swing. So I think that made it really convenient and was very nice.
yeah, I mean, when we talked about that last week, I was like, it makes a lot of sense with the tour, putting that on the Texas swing since it's right there. So that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, all right, now we left the Open. We started our practice. I mean, how much practice did you have prior to the actual starting on Thursday?
Okay, so I actually got to practice it one day last week. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my phone here. Um, so I practiced, I believe it was Wednesday of well, technically the week before now since it's Monday. Um, the Wednesday right before the Open at Austin, I practiced Harvey Pennick and then went afterwards and played Wilco, which was a very exhausting day. So my disc golf has been nonstop pretty much the last 2 weeks. I have played every single day and sometimes twice a day for 2 weeks straight, other than I took Thursday off right before the Open at Austin. And I was going to practice that day too, but then after the 2 rounds on Wednesday, I was just really really worn down and decided it would be smart to take a day off before going into Open at Austin. So I got to practice it on Wednesday, and they made some very last minute changes to our course schedule. So we were supposed to play two different courses. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something and Wilco, but they just like a week and a half beforehand they changed it. Okay, no, you're going to be playing Wilco every single day. Um, so I had played Wilco back my first time playing NADGT in 2022, and I believe I played it like 3 times. Uh, and then I went back and played it on Wednesday, and they didn't have the course. They actually changed the course um, a good bit for this tournament, and like took away some holes, added some holes, or like changed hole 9 and made it hole 8 and hole 9, so took away the par 5. I was not very happy about it on Wednesday. I went there, I was like, oh man, we're going to be playing Wilco every single day. I really didn't like it. And I feel like a lot of the women had kind of the same feeling about it. And part of the reason isn't because Wilco is like just that bad, but in comparison to a lot of other Austin courses, I mean, Austin is one of the disc golf meccas, kind of, in my mind. You know, there's just so many really, really amazing courses here. There's Roy G would probably be my favorite. I really love that. Circle C is a little less fair, a little less forgiving because of the rocks everywhere in the fairway, but it's still just an amazing course, like one of my favorites here, which we played both of those last year for NADGT here. And then like Met Center, there's, you know, obviously like Sprinkle Valley is pretty new. That one seemed fun, but I still haven't, I'm going to actually play that tomorrow is
Nice.
the plan, before heading to Houston, and then I'll head to Houston for Texas States. So between all of those really, really amazing courses, and then we're stuck at Wilco every single day, I was a little disappointed on Wednesday. So I had to, I decided early on, I was like, hey, you know, we're not going to have a miserable time just because we're upset about the course, you know, have a good attitude. So I worked on my perspective about it. I worked on my attitude, and then I practiced it again on Monday after the Open Austin finished, and I practiced Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I got 4 practice rounds in, and even on Monday after my practice round, I felt so much better about it. Hole 1 is it's kind of like poke and hope. It's a little like there is a line, but it's just sort of like this hole up in the trees that you sort of have to get through. So it starts out a little bit gimmicky, but and the fairways are pretty tight, and a lot of the distances weren't super great for females, but I still was able to just kind of enjoy it. And I was like, hey, you know, originally I was excited because, you know, this is my 3rd US Women's, and both previous years in FA1 we've played 2 different courses over the 4 days. So like one course, the next course, one course, the next course, something similar to that. And yeah, but then I just was like, well, I'm gonna look at it in terms of, hey, I have 4 days that I can attack this course. You know, so if you play one course 2 times, then it's like, well, if you mess up the first time, and then the pressure's on the next day, it's like, okay, well, I really need to play this course well. So it was kind of cool to be able to play it 4 different times. So I had 4 practice rounds and then 4 tournament rounds in a row.
Nice. Before we kind of go any further, 2 little bits of business we got to take care of. First off, your fundraiser discs.
Yes.
You got them?
Yes. Let me grab that real quick. These are a couple that are set aside actually that have been purchased.
Nice.
I was able to sell a few of them at US Women's, so thank you guys so much.
Nice.
Ashley, Pickett, Kelsey, Amy, Hadley. Yeah, a few different people bought either this disc, which is my design, or the elephant design. I'm getting that out right now. Is right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, she doesn't have it mirrored, so it's hard for her to adjust it right and have it centered.
Yeah, I keep trying to put it the right direction, and I'm moving it the wrong direction. So there's that one.
They look good.
Yeah. So I love both of them. This one's, you know, my design, so a little bit more of my baby, but I also just love the elephant design so much. So yeah.
And if anyone needs those discs, go over to Instagram to AceBabieee's, and she will happily take care of you.
3 E's. Let me actually grab something that Jimbo made for me real quick. I wanted to
Let me
show that.
see.
So Jimbo
Jimbo.
did a drawing of me on hole 16 for NADGT last year when I won, but I kind of like sealed the deal on hole 16 with a circle 2 putt, and he
Oh, that's awesome.
drew this of me putt. That was me putting on hole 16. So that was really cool. And then he made me this awesome origami lotus flower.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like so cool. So he knew that I like the lotus flowers. So yeah, it's like really awesome. So his name's Jimbo. He's been involved in disc golf for a really long time and involved in the community. So I thought that was really cool. So thank you so much, Jimbo.
That is great. And the other piece of business, if you like the content we're doing here, and you like this series that we're having, again, it's going to be going all year. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe to the podcast because we're having fun with this, and I hope you guys get a lot of learning from what it's like to be on the pro tour from someone doing it nearly every week.
Yep.
Okay, now we go to practice. Oh, something I meant last week. All right, we're going into round one. Do you have a routine set now since it's been 2 consecutive weeks and then also the chess.com earlier? Do you have a pre-round routine set yet?
Yeah, so I really like to get a lot of putting reps in, more so. I actually changed a little bit of how I do my putting, not my form, but how I step up and kind of prepare myself for my putt during the round. Because I think I've just been giving myself way too much time to think about it and get nervous when it's like I know what to do. I know how to putt if I can just go up and putt. So what I'll do is I'll put my mini down. I'll maybe like look at how far the basket is, then I'll step aside. But pretty much as soon as I get up to my lie and put my foot where it needs to be, then I'm putting pretty quickly right after that. And I'm not sitting there and taking a lot of time. So in my putting routine, I really like to, if I can, this is also dependent on who else is putting, like using the basket. But what I like to do is putt from one location and then I like to move and then putt from another location and then move really quickly and putt from another location. So I'm constantly resetting myself. So it's more, what I try to do is try to make it as similar to how it would be on the actual putting green as opposed to, oh, okay, I'm going to have 2, 3, 4 putts from the same location and have that many opportunities to make my putt. No, you have one chance on the course and you also haven't been putting. One thing that I want to try a little bit as well possibly is like making one putt and then stopping for, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds maybe, making another putt, trying to simulate even more what it's like in an actual tournament round as much as is possible. Then with throwing, I still haven't figured that out. I do really like throwing into the nets, and they did have a net to throw into every day at Wilco, and almost every day they had two baskets to practice putt. But I never threw into the net, so I'm kind of back and forth in that one because I feel like at least on the pro tour they're getting much better where they usually have nets set up in a place that you can do that. But sometimes it's kind of far away from where you're starting, and especially if I'm going to be a really early tee time. I don't know. I'm still deciding whether I want to actually throw and kind of warm up in a net beforehand. I think it could be useful, but I'm going back and forth on that. So I didn't do that this time. I mostly just stuck to the putting.
Yeah, for me, when I throw into, I've got a net and I throw into like once in a while. My only problem is I don't feel like it. I mean, I don't know what the disc is going to do because I'm only throwing it 10 feet.
Yeah.
But on the other side, it does loosen my body up. So I think there's a good and a bad with throwing into a net.
Yeah. Ideally, I would get, like half of a practice round in or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's not anything I've really tried. And then that's also another variable, because I want to be able to do something that I can do every single time, you
Mhm.
know? And if you go to a course that's like very secluded and there really aren't any courses nearby, then well, playing half a round may not be possible. Or if I happen to have a tea time, thankfully they haven't had tea times this early at all this year, but last year we started out with 7 a.m. tea times. It seems like they're doing better with that. Maybe we're not gonna have 7 a.m. tea times very often, which would be nice. But I
Mhm.
mean, you run into the problem of it being dark at that point, you know,
Yeah.
or even just it being extremely early, and especially depending on if it's 3 or 4 rounds, you're waking up that early. It just really wears on the body.
Mhm. Okay. After 2 weeks, how is your body feeling?
So I was definitely, I would say I was more um, mentally and I don't know, emotionally worn out. I was more of just so I'm naturally an introvert. Like I love people and I love hanging out with people, but it drains me. Um, so I feel like last night I was just to the point to where I just wanted to be by myself and be in bed and take like an Epsom salt bath, which I didn't. I just showered and went straight to bed and decided that today was gonna definitely be a rest day. I was gonna sleep in, which I ended up waking up at like 5 a.m. And then I was up for a few hours, but I was able to get back to sleep a few hours
And then
later
you
and
got a
got another.
message about 10 o'clock your time.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna sleep in as much as possible. This is gonna be a rest day. I had some people ask me if I wanted to play Roy G, which I love Roy G, and I had to say no because I was like, I'm gonna play Sprinkle Valley tomorrow, so I really needed today to be my rest day. But I feel like
Mhm.
my body has been keeping up with it, you know, which I'm I, like after having the year that I've had and just my body failing me over and over and over again, to be able to be at a point to where I can go almost 2 weeks straight playing disc golf every day, playing twice a day sometimes with only one day off, you know, and now this is my second day off. That's to me, that's a huge win, and um, just a testament to how much stronger my body is getting, how much endurance, even within the last couple few weeks, how much more endurance I have and am able to really keep up with what I need to be able to keep up with if I'm going to be doing this, you know. And it's not just the disc golf. Like there's so many aspects to what I do.
Mhm.
I spend a lot of time on social media, you know, like people don't understand the time that you put into that. Like with selling these discs, I still haven't actually sent them out. I'm hoping to do that tomorrow. But like sending those things out, and I've done 2 disc golf lessons actually.
Oh,
I gave a
nice.
disc golf lesson today, and then I gave a disc golf lesson um on Friday, I want to say, of this past week. So it was like while US Women's was going on. So it was in the evening, and it was actually like
Wow.
not raining hard, but it was like a light drizzle the whole time and kind of cold. But it was a good friend, and we had a really good lesson. Like I'm actually going to share some of the before and after videos of the work that we did, and was really really excited about his progress. And then I worked with a girl today that's a friend, and also had some really good things that we worked on. So that's another way that, like, if people are interested in taking lessons, that I'm trying to raise some money via disc golf lessons as well. And or if just females want lessons and say they don't have the money, then I definitely want to help females. And so, you know, if they send me videos or whatever, I'm also happy to try to help them if they can't, you know, pay for it or whatever. And I just, like I said, I just love helping out.
So if Ace Baby is in your neck of the woods, lessons.
Yes, I'm kind of a form nerd with stuff like that. I really enjoy it, and I love being able to help people.
Mhm.
And and have them be like, oh, I didn't even know like I was doing that. And then I'll always like record them, and then we'll kind of look over it and see,
Mhm.
okay, this is what's happening, and go over their form and everything. And it sounds like maybe if I'm in your area, maybe I'll give you a lesson at some point if you want. So
Okay. Okay, now we're going to jump into round one. We start off with, take my glass off so I can read.
yeah, I actually have the round up here.
We have see your playing group was, now if I get names wrong, I apologize. I am terrible with names. Kai Klein, Maya Ringgold, and Alexander Peterson for round
Yes.
one.
So Alex, Maya, and Kai, that's seriously one of my favorite cards ever. So you have all kinds when you're playing. You have some people who are just completely to themselves, or they're just very zoned in and focused and serious, and they don't really want to like joke or have fun or whatever, or maybe they're just extremely nervous, they don't talk much, or maybe they're just naturally very quiet, or you can tell that they like just the energies are very different or whatever. But I felt like the energy on that card, just we really blended super well together. Kai and I were like singing on the card some, we were joking. um you could tell even just like few holes in, we were all like really mellow, very chill, like encouraging one another. And even when someone, did something, uh, like had a bad shot or whatever, they weren't happy with it, but it was just like a good energy for that, where they were able to get over to move on. We would encourage each other, and just, yeah, it was a really, really fun card, and one of my favorite cards that I've ever had. In fact, I would say another card that I remember being very similar was my very first U.S. Women's, and Ashley Pickett was on that card. Ashley Pickett, Christy Acton, and I'm forgetting her name, but it was like second or third round, I can't remember, but we just had such a blast the whole time. So it's awesome when you can get a card like that. Not that the other cards are terrible or anything. It's just one of those cards where you're like, yeah, like let's get carded again. So
And I think your score showed it. Two under after round one, tied for first, a 948 rating on that
yeah,
first round.
almost another 950. It's been a while. I think I got both of my 950 rated rounds in 22, and I don't think I got another last year. I almost did at US Women's last year. If I would have made the easy 15-foot putter, 15-foot putt on hole 18 that I've been making all day, on the last round, then that would have been a 950 rated round. But it's how it happens, and I was pretty happy with it though. 948, not bad at all. I felt really good. I felt confident going into it, and I had a game plan. I hyped myself up, so I didn't have a caddy. Let me see. Yeah, so I didn't have a caddy round one or round two, because Andy was working, and then round 3 and 4, Andy caddied for me, which I don't mind. I definitely don't mind like not having a caddy. Um, and yeah, I felt really good. I had a game plan. I was very determined to stay positive, to um, to no matter how a hole went, if it felt like it went poorly. I mean, like I started out hole one with a bogey, right?
Mhm.
So that could have been very easy, to get upset about, because I missed like a 12, 15-foot putt to get that bogey. Like I hit the tree, the tree that's like right in the way of the fairway, which a lot of people hit. So that wasn't, that was pretty common to hit that tree. And then I had a really nice approach shot that put me close to the basket, and then I missed the putt. Was pretty nervous, but I was like, hey, it's the start of a major, no worries. We'll continue through. Then hole two, played pretty well. I was very proud of my hole three every single round. It's such a tough par four, and I 3 of the 4 rounds I flicked my wave up the fairway, and so it goes kind of like straight, and then it's dog legs 90 degrees to the right. So it's a essentially a pretty good flick line if you hit the line, but you
Mm-hmm.
can definitely get yourself in trouble, hit things to the right, or if you go too straight, you'll go into get into a lot of trouble on the right with more like natural OB kind of things. um so I hit that line so beautifully with my flick and went all the way around the corner and towards the basket, and essentially had a a close to like a birdie look every time, like, and I did put it within circle 1 and then made a long putt to get the birdie one of the rounds,
Mm-hmm.
which I looked at the stats for that hole, and I believe only 2 people got a birdie on that hole the entire tournament, and Addison and I were those 2 people. So
That is that is awesome.
that's pretty cool when you look at the holes and you're like, oh, that hole played really, it was really difficult, and I got a birdie on it, so I was pretty excited.
But one of the biggest things that I saw, and I messaged you right after the round, uh, birdie on 18 to finish the round. I was like, that is momentum going for the next round. That was awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I had done it the 2 days before. I had put it, like 12, 15 feet from the basket, and this is one of the drives, so it was like a lot of power. I had to trust the disc to kind of turn over, do that shape and get the full flight out of it. It's like a little more stable Star Mamba that I used backhand, and that shot is something that I literally like didn't even have until last weekend. That was one of the things that I kind of rediscovered last weekend in my game that I'd been working on, and it had been gone for such a long time. And so to be able to have that shot and know that I had that shot and just go for it and really fully commit to a backhand throw and trust the disc to do what it was supposed to do, um, was a really good feeling.
Nice. Oh, and one thing, when people look at me, look down, look at my phone, I'm not texting people and stuff. This is where I keep my notes. So everyone knows I'm not being
And I'm looking at the
disrespectful.
scores. I have the round scores on my phone.
Oh,
So
I made sure I got those too. So round two had a great round. Excuse me, round one we had a great round. Round two comes around with Addison Woodard, Brooke Johnson. Hey, Brooke. Uh, and Isabella Parker.
yes, so that we Brooke and I at least had to have one round in which we were carded together because it's tradition. Every single major that we have played together, we have been carded at least one round. And this time we got to be carded 2 rounds. We were carded the second round, and then she got back on lead card the final round, which was really cool. And so last year, and I believe the year before, they recorded the lead card every single round. And this
Mhm.
year, for whatever reason, they were just, I think, low. They said they were pretty low on like staff and everything. So they really, they weren't able to record and do like post production. This isn't the Disc Golf Network Live or anything. It's like
Mhm.
Gatekeeper Media, Ace Run Pro, those guys. But for whatever reason, they didn't have as many people. So I guess it was they were determining whether they were going to record FA1 or like FP40 or something like that. Well, I guess we ended up winning because we had the live coverage for the final round. So cool that Brooke was able to get back on that. And that's this last year I was on live coverage, or not live, on coverage post production
Mhm.
with Brooke as well. So that was kind of cool that, and it's already up. It's up on YouTube on the PDGA YouTube account. So if you want to see the final round, then it's up there. It was recorded by Gatekeeper Media.
Mhm. That is awesome because I asked you about it because I know we talked about that. And I did see the gosh, FA40, no, FO40.
FP40.
FP40. There was a letter in there somewhere. FP40, and I think I saw the 15 as well that they posted.
Yeah, FJ 12 or 15, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't even know. I literally just saw it like 10 minutes before we started this because
nice.
someone texted me and said, "Oh, I saw that your final round was covered by Gatekeeper and it's already up." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's fast," because it took them a pretty long time, but I guess it's like Gatekeeper Media and
Mhm.
some of them they just get it out really quickly. So
Yeah, I
that was
wonder if
pretty
we could
awesome.
actually watch that some point and break it down.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
We'll look into that.
It was
It's
definitely an interesting round to have recorded. The wind made it a completely different course.
mhm,
Yeah, it was rough, but we can talk about that when we talk about round 4. But
yeah.
it was
Uh,
very
round,
windy. It was Texas wind out here. So
round two, 5 over, 883, and at the end of the round, you were in third place.
yep, I was in third place. Was I solo third or tied for third?
I think it was solo after that round.
Okay.
At least I believe so. I didn't put tied.
Yeah, so that definitely felt rough. I think the main reason for that was honestly because my forehand just felt a little bit off. And I would say in general for this tournament, my approach game wasn't very good. Which I've struggled with that a lot. That's not necessarily something it's like, oh, my approach game is always amazing. Um, I feel like my approach game was much better when I first started disc golf because I wasn't too far removed from ultimate. And hello, good evening. I wasn't too far removed from ultimate, and I just had that much more of that touch. And I
Mhm.
think now I get in my head a little bit too much. I think about it. I think about it too much. So just in general, with a lot of my shots, it's often better for me not to really think about it much. I know how to make the shot, pick the disc, trust the disc, and just go up and execute that. But I definitely lost, I'd say, at least 3 to 5 strokes from bad, pretty basic like approach shots.
Mhm.
And I tend to rely on my flick or my forehand as a crutch instead of doing backhand sometimes when I should. But I was proud of myself because one of my goals for this tournament was to force myself to choose the backhand more. Choose, like, if it was more of a backhand shot in a backhand shape for the approach, then do the backhand shot and trust that. And I'm also trying to incorporate Spikeheiser backhand shots into my approach. My approach is a lot more, because I think those are just ones, if you have the distance and you can get it there, then if you can if you can calibrate correctly and actually throw it to the right spot, then the disc stops.
Mhm.
You don't really have to worry about it moving too far. So it's all about aim and accuracy. And if you can get that down, then it's just a really good shot shape to use for an approach shot.
Let's see. Round three. Uh, Addison stayed on the lead.
Yeah.
Kylie Kahoot. I hope I'm again pronouncing. I hope I do good.
I
And
don't really know last names very well, but she goes by Kai.
okay, and then Yolanda Lolahua Polly.
Yeah,
And
Yolanda
again,
is
I
how you
apologize.
pronounce her first name, Yolanda,
Hmm.
or she went by Yo sometimes, but Yolanda.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was really, really pretty name.
And
Yeah,
again,
so
yeah.
another thing about round 1 to round 2, so I had 4 birdies in round 1
Hmm.
and only 2 bogeys. And then round 2, I only had 2 birdies and I had 5 bogeys and a double bogey
Now,
on
how
round
was the
2. So I
weather that
definitely
day?
um
Round two.
it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I think there was something going on. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Mhm.
I was actually felt pretty sick on and off the last round. I had Raising Cane's the night before, and something just did not settle very well with my stomach. So I woke up a few
There went that
times in
sponsorship.
the night. So I was feeling kind of a little queasy like going into round 4. So I'm not gonna say that's why like I didn't do super well, but I know that was certainly a factor. So then going into round 3, obviously had I did 7 strokes worse from having a 2 down in round 1 and then having a 5 over in round 2. So round 3, I mean, I pretty much had the same mental game, the same perspective round 1 to round 2. I would say um my my goal in a round like that was to have a positive attitude, to do my best to not worry about what was happening. Also, there were a couple people on the card actually that were getting kind of upset at times or making really loud noises, and like I feel that pretty intensely. So another goal of mine as I move along in the season uh is to do my best to not allow like outside more negative influences to impact me as much.
Hmm.
um and yeah, so there was definitely a lot of like some intense emotions going on at times, like kind of trading off. So I know that impacted me some as well, but again, that's on me. I need to work on my mental game in that area to try to um make sure that it's uh it's dependent on myself, and I think I did a decent job of it even then, like just being like, okay, it's good, like don't worry about it, play your game, make the shot. So between that and then my forehand throws just being a little bit off, got myself in trouble a couple times. So going into round 3, I was just like, hey, let's crush it, let's play my game, be confident, stay, have a good attitude, have a positive vibe for the other people on the card. Let's have a good time. Um, and yeah, I felt like we all had a really good time. That was remind me again. That was Kylie.
Kylie,
Is
Addison, and Yolanda.
Okay,
Yolanda.
so that she doesn't go by Kai. Sorry, I was thinking of round 1. So
Yeah.
that's Kylie, Addison, Yolanda, myself. We had a pretty good time.
Mhm. See, shot one under, another
Shot one
plus
under.
900 round, 931. And after the round, you were solo second.
Yes. And that is the round that I got a 3, which was a birdie on hole
Yep.
3,
Hmm.
and I was extremely excited about that. It was like a pretty big moment.
Now, when you may have a big shot like that, do you have emotion? Like a big fist pump, a jump up and down, or are you like Own Skog and you're running and jumping and throwing a bow?
I was pretty excited about that one because it was like an edge of circle 1 putt, so it was
Nice.
not a gimme, and yeah, I was definitely like, yes, let's go. I like to be pretty excited about those moments, but then I like
Mhm.
to kind of bring it down
Right.
quickly because I don't want to have like too high of highs or too low lows.
Yep.
I know in disc golf there's going to be a lot of both, and so not allowing either to impact you too much, because if you get too excited, then you're not as focused and thinking to the next hole. Okay, like what do I need to do? What's my next shot? What's happening? Or if you get too upset, then you're just hyper focused on the fact that you messed up, and um that like, oh man, I'm a loser, or like, why can't I make this shot, or something like that.
Hmm.
um round round 2, that actually reminds me, of round 2 I had like 3 misses within the bullseye, which
Oh.
was very unfortunate. Yeah, and one of them, it was like dead center, the most perfect little putt it was just barely out of reach for me to like kind of tap the disc in upside down. Usually is what I do. I've been very careful ever since last year at NAGGT, and I had like a bad spit out like that. But I pretty much had the same exact thing happen to me because it was just barely out of reach. It wasn't that hard. I mean, it was just a really good putt, dead center, and it just spit it right back out. So
Did y'all have the
that was
same baskets as the FPO?
I
Did
don't
they
think so because the baskets there, I was told are like like fairly old,
hmm
whereas Sprinkle Valley is a pretty new
Yeah.
course. Like it's not. I think I was told it's not even a year old.
hmm Because I just saw a ton of spit outs. I mean, there was some it looked like had dead center and just spit out, and I was it seemed like a ton of them at that
Yeah,
course. But
maybe
if you had the older baskets, totally different. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, unless they just put in older baskets into the course,
I mean, they look new. They look new.
yeah. Hmm. I don't know then.
Hmm.
But
Now,
yeah, I
okay.
had a lot of, I probably had 5 to 7 putts that I should have had at least 3 or 4 of them go in that didn't go in. You know, like
Mhm.
you'll have that every once in a while where, you'll have a decent putt or maybe you'll hit a few chains, but it's like it doesn't quite go in. But it was like that kept happening to me where I had a decent putt. It wasn't necessarily perfect, but you'd figure, okay, like some of those would go in, and by the end of the round, the girls were saying, "Yeah, these baskets just don't like you."
Like great day.
And I was like, okay. So then going into round 3, I was much more careful and like I was purposefully trying to put like a little bit more hyzer on the disc and put it in a little lower and not throw it as hard. Um, so even the fact that I was able to stay calm enough to be able to do that was like an accomplishment because sometimes, in some tournaments, I'll get so nervous with putting that it's like, oh, my arm will just do whatever. So staying calm. I would do breathing exercise sometimes where I would just like breathe in and breathe out and just take like deep breaths in and deep breaths out to try to, regulate my heart rate and my breathing, kind of calm myself down a little bit before putts. I did that. I did that a decent number of times throughout this tournament.
It's kind of reminded me of the movie Happy Gilmore. He's like like
I don't get that mad though.
let the good in happy, block the bad in the good, block the bad in the good.
That's funny.
So it's a carousel happy. It's a carousel
Yes.
round and round, up and down. Let's see. So anything else on round 3? Any big shots?
No,
Any
so I again I
we got
had the same
hole
number
3,
of
great.
birdies. At this point, I through round 3, I hadn't birdied the 2 easiest holes to birdie any of the rounds. Like there were 2 extremely birdieable holes. In fact, a large percentage of the field birdied them. It's hole 10 and 11, and I hadn't birdied either of those holes. So I'm like only getting the hard birdies, I guess. But finally, round 4, I birdie one of the 2 holes. So I never birdied hole 11, which, you know, I was a little sad that I did birdie that one. But I was able to birdie hole 10 with actually a pretty nice edge of circle 1 putt. So I was pretty excited about that.
Let's see. Going into after round 3, going into round 4, you're 4 shots back. What are you thinking between the rounds going into round 4?
Okay, so before we go into that, I actually
Nope.
lied. I did birdie hole 10 in round 1 because I parked it. But anyway, okay, so going
Mhm.
into round 4, um, I was feeling really good, honestly. Like I mean, like I said, I felt a little bit sick that morning, but and I definitely had more of the nerves, but I was ready to attack. I
Mhm.
was ready. I felt confident. I felt good about the round. Um I knew because of the wind, it was extremely windy. It was pretty bad. I mean, you could see from the entire field the hot round was even, you
Mhm.
know. and even Addison, I think she shot 1 over.
Yep.
So it was really tough with the wind. But it was more than that. I think a part of it was like some of the holes I was trying to go for a little bit more, maybe attack it. Maybe I like changed my disc a little bit, and it just wasn't working out for me. It just wasn't quite my day, and sometimes that happens. But I never really gave up at any point. I mean, I was fighting until the very end, and I was like, well, anything can happen, I'm just gonna I'm gonna stay in it. And that's one thing about me that I'm pretty good at, like, sticking in there and battling it out to the end. And I've had some really great rounds from that. If you allow the fact that it's like, oh, this isn't going super well, I've gotten like a lot of bogeys to take over, then you're not going to have a fun round. You're not going to have a very good round. And also, you don't know what you can do if you just stick with it. So I ended up still shooting 20 points over my rating,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm
Five,
872
five
rated.
over in round 4 and 893 rating.
Yeah. So that's 21 points over my rating, because I'm 872, so that's 893. But yeah, I got 3 birdies, and you can see there's just a lot of bogeys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bogeys. So that was kind of rough. Hole 1, I didn't make the gap. I hit the tree, and then I didn't have a very good lie, and you could see all of this on the coverage, obviously. And then hole 2 is another example. I hit the first tree, and I'd hit that gap beautifully every single round. I hit the tree, had a beautiful, beautiful recovery flick from that. It was awesome, but I ended up not quite being able to save par on that. So took the bogey, and then yeah, same thing with hole 3. Kind of went off the side and almost got it back. I was very close, but yeah, it was a tough round, and I feel like I had a strong mental game the entire time. I stuck it out. Yeah, Addison is an amazing player, and yeah, it's going to be really cool to see her career, and as she moves on and everything. I think working on, like, her mental game a little bit is going to be huge. And but she's only 14, so she has
Wow.
it's yeah.
That I
She's
did not know.
14, and then Kylie, who I ended up tying with, and then we had like a playoff on hole 1, and it was a CTP essentially to see who got the second place trophy.
Uh-huh.
And I got the CTP, so I got the second place trophy. Um, but but yeah, so Kylie is 15. Yeah.
That's crazy. They're that good. I mean, shooting those rounds at that young age.
Yeah. I mean, Addison can throw 400 feet plus.
Wow. I forgot to mention this. Addison Woodard, Brooke Johnson, and Kylie was on that last round as well. So
Yep.
wow.
Yeah, 'cause
Overall, a
Kylie came
914
back.
average.
What average? Say that again.
914.
Yes, 914 average, which I don't know for sure. I may have a tournament in which my average is higher than that, but it wouldn't be much higher than that. So I think that could be my highest average rated round that I've ever thrown. So it was really cool to have. Every single round was above my rating, and 2 of the rounds were well over 900 rated rounds, and it wasn't like, yeah, it was a little up and down. So it was a 2 under, then a 5 over, then a 1 under, then a 5 over, and everything. But even with the last day, I didn't feel like my playing was that extremely different. And there are factors at play that we don't even know about sometimes, just with like fatigue and how your
Hmm.
body's doing in a given day. But I was very happy. I will say I am disappointed that I didn't get first. There's no way to be a competitor and to care and to want to win and to want to take it down and be like, oh yeah, whatever, like I didn't get, like, no, I really wanted to win my first major.
Yep.
um and I felt like I could do it, you know. And I think that's a mentality that you need to have. But I'm also, uh I can also look at it objectively and be like, hey, I played really well. Um I played 42 points over my rating. I mean, I think my rating's kind of a little bit garbage right now, but still,
Yeah.
that's what I've been playing. That's where I'm at. You know, it is what it is.
Yep.
Um, and to be able to play at that level and feel confident about it. You know, because before, I don't know, like I feel like that's much more in reach. I went downhill for such a long time, and then now I can tell like I'm going up. I'm on that trajectory. I'm gaining the confidence back. Like last weekend was really important for my confidence, and then this weekend has just helped reinforce that. And also, like I'm always working on things. I'm always working on my mental game. I'm working on my attitude. I'm working on how I view myself, how I view my rounds, how I view other people, making sure I'm getting everything out that doesn't need to be in there, that's a distraction, that's not benefiting me or benefiting the people around me. Um and and trying to not worry about like the silly things, the little things in life, you know, just be like, hey, I'm excited that I get to do this. I'm excited that I get to play disc golf. Yes, it's a lot of work what I'm doing. It's gonna be a grind, but it's also very exciting, and I'm very happy that I have the energy to be able to do it at this point. And yeah, and seeing that I can play at a higher level, you know, getting second place at a major in FA1, that's not too shabby.
That's pretty good.
um and shooting an average of 914, that's not bad, you
Hmm.
know.
What being a major, did they have much going on between rounds? Because I know some majors they have like concerts and stuff going on. Anything going on this week?
They had a lot of different things going on, and I had a lot of different things going on. So I didn't really, they had putting leagues, they had die, like bring your disc and like die a disc. That was
That's awesome.
yeah, that was with Kim and Ed Birdie. They're from Tennessee. They're awesome. Um yeah, they had a rodeo. I had tickets to the rodeo. I did not go because I was just exhausted, and I also had a few friends that I needed to hang out with while I was here as well. And but then Saturday I did start doing things at the course, and Saturday I went to the Fly Mart, and I got to talk to a lot of people. I talked to Juliana, talked to Des Redding, um, Big Germ was there, Tim Barham, Noah, uh, Paige Pierce. I got to talk to her for a while. I don't think I saw Own. Many other people like Nico was there.
Hey, Nico.
So yeah, I got to chat with them. I bought a couple things. Circle, I think it's C1 disc golf or C3 disc golf. Yeah, they gave me, they're actually creating some discs and recently created a putter that was like really, I don't have it in here, I'd show it, but it's like really gummy and like kind of very interesting, very pliable. I'm kind of excited. They said that it was more on the stable end, so I may like try it for approach shots and see what I think about it. um and then another guy, he had dyed a disc for me, and he gave that to me. We met at the Open at Austin, and so it has. I'm really big into like princesses, and so I say I'm like a princess, and I'm also a queen, and so my hair is naturally a good bit darker than this because I have like some highlights in it. Um, but I looked the most like Belle, so it was like of Belle on a disc and kind of like in the forest, and so that was sort of cool. Um, so yeah, that was the Fly Mart. It was really fun. Got to talk to a lot of people. Emily Yale, yeah, just a bunch of different people. Oh, I finished second. Yeah, second place in FA1.
Nice.
So I had an average 914 rating average for the tournament. Thanks for asking. Yes, and then on I got to meet a number of people in person that I had known online that I hadn't been able to meet in person, like Nikki, Ara, I think her name is. She actually got an ace during the tournament, so that was really cool. I can't remember if she played for FA2 or FA3. Thank you. And oh, another thing is they actually had the coolest venue for the like intro players party kind of thing. It was like opening ceremony, I think is what they called it. It was like Park and Pizza or something like that, but it was this huge like arcade place. They had putt, they had food, they had go-karts, um they had just a lot of different things. It was such an awesome place to have like an opening ceremony. Everybody was able to do different things, and we all got like a $10 card that we could use at the arcade. And then I think some people were leaving and they hadn't played in the arcade, so they gave me like two of their cards, and so I had, like $20-$30. And then Leah and I kind of went around. Brooke was with us for a good while, and we just went and played a bunch of games and used up all of our things, and then we went to the shop and got a couple things that we ended up putting on our bags. So I got like a little ice cream cone thing that was like a little mini stress ball, and then this other cute thing, and she got one of the stress ball things as well. So it was pretty cool. We just had a fun time. We goofed off, and aw, thank
Thank
you.
you.
So yeah, it was awesome. I really feel like they did a great job of having extra things to do with the rodeo, even though I didn't go, with the players party being at the arcade, and then having the Fly Mart. The only thing I wish would have been a little bit different about the Fly Mart is that it was like $50 to be able to vend there or anything. And for someone like me who, I mean, I'd have to sell a certain number of discs, and I only have fundraiser discs to sell, so that would be a lot, to pay $50 to do it. And I
Mhm.
feel like an event for women should be more accessible, to be able to be more accessible for that. And then the other thing is they had, a good number of pictures taken of us, but like nobody knows where they are, nobody knows where to get them. And so just being more like clear about, hey, where, because we don't get pictures very often, so it's really cool to have pictures taken, but just knowing where it is that we can get those from. But I think they did an awesome job. And the Mint Disc had a really great venue, and it was awesome to have it at Sprinkle Valley, where there was also like the brewery or whatever that was there, and people could kind of chill inside, and there were a bunch of tables and things outside. It was a fun venue, and on top of that, we were blessed with decent weather. I mean, yeah, the last day was kind of rough with the wind being so intense, but yeah, great venue. And then I was able to, didn't follow along on any of the FPO cards, any day other than Sunday. And then I was like, hey, I didn't get to see Own It All the weekend before when she won the Open at Austin, which was really exciting. And so I tried to follow her the last few cards. I was kind of distracted by some people, like people would come up and I'd be talking to a lot of, a lot of different like friends or followers or things like that. And so was able to watch her on like hole 16 through 18, I think. And then
You
got to
missed the
hang
big
out.
putt on 15. Well, isn't
Yeah.
15 that island green?
Yeah.
She had a
Yeah.
huge putt there. It was incredible.
Yes, very cool. And then on
But
hole 18, it was so sad because that approach shot was amazing and it almost went in. And then I thought for sure that the chains were going to catch that putt. It looked good and then it
mhm.
spit out. That was so sad. But of course, it's Own and she had a good attitude
Yeah,
afterwards. And then I got to hang out with her and a few other people
well, I'm sure she
afterwards.
enjoyed being right there at the brewery.
Yes, yes, that's her jam.
I saw a thing she posted. She's like, I have a good shot, I have a beer. If I have a bad shot, I might have a beer.
And I have a beer.
I was like, you're the awesome.
Pretty much.
Did y'all have it was at the FPO? Somewhere like the middle of the round or so, they had like a tent set up and people were going up and ordering like coffee or tea or something on in the middle of the round.
Yeah, yeah. I think they had like a truck down there in I don't know how many holes it was. I think it was like hole 11
Hmm.
and then like hole 12, 13, 14 maybe we're back in the woods and then hole 16 comes out and 16 and 17 and kind of part of 18 are out there and everything's out there in this big huge field
Hmm.
where you can spectate and yeah, there was like a food truck out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're pretty cool.
Hey,
I love that they did that, and they had also had a lot of like food trucks and like ice cream truck and like a dessert truck up at the top. Um, at least I don't know if they had all of them every day, but at least the last day they had a few of them, and that was really cool.
I just hope people are paying attention for Worlds here in Lynchburg. Food trucks, lots of food trucks. Because I was at US Women last year, I think it was just like two trucks. I
Yeah.
was like, hey, where's the halal guys? Where are those guys at? They're sponsoring everything. Where are y'all at?
Yeah. I think part of the problem is like it's expensive and then
Hmm.
they don't want to do it, but then people don't want to come because there's not a lot of things to do. So if you make it accessible where it's like, hey, if parents have like kids and you can kind of make it a family day,
Yep.
then that's the way to go. And they're starting to do a better job with that, I feel like in the Pro Tour in general, and they're trying to bring like better vibes, bring more activities and things to be able to do so you can make it more of a family event. So even like um if you don't like disc golf, like you're a kid
Hmm.
and your dad just likes or your mom likes disc golf, then you can still have some things to do and have some fun. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the FPS. We've been talking about that. Missy Gannon got the dub.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats, Missy.
Yes.
One-time major champ. That is so awesome for her. I'm not gonna lie, I was going for Evelina. Everybody knows I like Evelina. That poor thing. I mean, oh, she
Yeah.
played three great rounds. The putting was on last round. Ooh.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are rooting for Evelina. She's just like I don't know her very well personally, but everyone has such nice things to say about her and she seems, from afar she seems like a genuinely nice person.
Hmm.
And I would just love to be able to have like a practice round with her. Even if I'd feel bad about my play, I would still just have such a fun time. I think hanging out with her for a little bit, but who knows, maybe at some point during this season I'll be able to have a practice round with Evelina. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, if Evelyn is there, then Hannah's gonna be there too in the practice round.
Yeah, I like Hannah seems really nice. She seems very shy, but like really nice. And
Yes.
yeah, I like people like that. It's people who just think that they're like too good, too good for you. It's like, oh, I'm too good. I don't need to hang out with you. But then the people who are really like shy and quiet, I feel like they can be very interesting,
Yeah,
like have really good conversations with them once they like break out of that shell,
yeah. Last year at US Women's, after the first round, Hannah was leading, and me and one of my friends, we stopped by Walmart, and lo and behold, as we were going toward the checkout, we see Hannah walk in. And I walked over to her and I was like, "Hey, Hannah, great round." She was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
And somebody was with her. She goes, "See, people do know you."
That's funny.
And I was going to ask for a picture, and I was like, "I'm just gonna slowly back away. I don't want to scare anybody."
She probably would have appreciated it. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah,
Who knows
right
what she
there in
thought?
the fresh food section there.
Yeah. I actually got to talk to her for very briefly at chess.com, and
Mhm.
she seemed really nice. Yeah.
That is awesome. Let's see. What else did I have to ask? Oh, as per usual, and I hate to even say this, but did you see Missy get the trophy at the end?
I did not. So
Oh,
I didn't stick around there. So I actually went up with Owen, and we were all kind of in the parking lot with
mhm.
a bunch of like players from the tournament, and maybe a couple that weren't played, but I think most everyone was like a player in a lot of different divisions.
Mhm.
I got to see MJ for a little bit. She crushes. She's
Yeah,
FJ 12,
12, I
I
think.
would say.
Hmm.
And then I also, while I was watching Own, I got to see and talk to Rebecca and her mom a little bit longer. I'd actually met them
Rebecca.
the week before. Rebecca Dunn,
Okay.
she won FJ 18.
Hmm.
Yeah. So her and Aubrey kind of battled it out some, and then I think Rebecca had a decent lead, but Aubrey is super sweet. Aubrey actually came to her tea time was so late on for round like 3 and 4 that she was able to come over and watch FA1 play for like four 4 or 5 holes maybe before she had to leave and then go to get to her tea time. But she came there and supported us, and she even took a couple pictures of me while I was playing and sent them to me, and they were really cool.
That's awesome.
So thanks, Aubrey, you're awesome. She's such a sweetheart, and her mom too. They're both awesome. And then Rebecca, and meeting her mom, I actually cannot remember her mom's name right now, but they were both really 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 nice. Came from Canada, Toronto, maybe. And this was actually Rebecca's very first US tournament.
Wow,
So to take down a major
that's pretty cool.
FJ 18 was pretty awesome. A lot of great wins.
Well, one of the things that people, I mean, I don't get this, but people seem to really enjoy bashing the trophies. Did you happen to actually even see what the FPO trophy looked like?
Yeah, I actually just made a post earlier today that's me with the trophy, with my little trophy.
Mhm.
In fact, those trophies were all made from trees on the property, which I
Yeah,
thought was pretty cool.
yeah.
I love the trophy. I thought it was cool. Like,
Yeah,
there
because
have been a lot
it's
of trophies that I'm like, yeah, I don't really care for these trophies. Like, especially last year, the Open at Austin, I feel like those hats were just kind of obnoxious.
Mhm.
You know, like this year it was like a little bit better, and I get it. It's the Open at Austin, so doing that, so that makes sense. But I thought it was like a super cute trophy, like
I
maybe a
thought it was
little bit.
great.
I would say the main thing maybe for an FPO player is just that like that would be hard to transport or like fit
Exactly.
anyway.
Well,
But it was
they should mail
super
it back to
cute.
somebody's house for them.
Yeah, yeah, they should probably, of course, they're probably not there. Maybe
Mhm.
would have someone to pick it up. But I love the trophies. I thought I was admiring it. I actually
Mhm.
thought that was, I was like, yeah, that's a really cool trophy.
Mhm.
So yeah, some of these trophies I've seen that people have gotten, I'm like, yeah, that's like a terrible trophy.
I mean, again, 20 was it 2021 Worlds? No, 2022 Worlds.
I even feel like last year at Worlds was, I can't
It
remember
was
what it was,
2022
but
because it was when Kristen and Paul Macbeth won. I mean, they had this something looked like that was made in Metal Shop. It was terrible looking.
Yeah. No,
But
yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about. And yeah, that
but
was
this one I thought was cool because
very underwhelming.
it looked like that Sprinkle Valley triple Mando for hole one. I was
Mhm.
like, what are people bashing this trophy? I think it's awesome.
I think it's awesome. They had this cute little basket, and then it had
Yeah.
like this medallion on the top, and then it had like these cute flower. Like I just felt like it was adorable. It was like a little fairyland with a basket, and
Mhm.
it was creative. It was
Mhm.
obviously like was made pretty. I don't know. I liked it. So
I mean,
I don't know. People, yeah, people will complain about
yeah, I mean,
everything,
it's
but
like it's like no matter what they give somebody, they have to bash them. You know, one thing that I did say about majors, I really do wish they would put an actual podium out there and have the top three players on the actual podium and take pictures of them like that, like a real big sporting event, and actually do that.
yes. Yeah, so so actually that's something that I did want to mention about US Women's. So the very first time I went to US Women's, it was in Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. Really loved it. It was amazing. They did such again like everything. There was coverage on lead card for like a lot of definitely FA1, FP40, FP50, FPO, of course.
Mhm.
Just they had a lot of different divisions that had coverage for every single round for the lead card. Um, and of course, lead and chase card for FPO. And then at the end of the tournament, and this does have more to do probably with like the TD, but they had an award ceremony. And even last
Mhm.
year, they had an award ceremony. It wasn't nearly as nice as the one in Madison, but that's something where I feel like you like it's cool to be recognized among your peers, among other women that you're playing with, not just
Yeah.
for FPO but for every division.
Yep.
So like yeah, if someone needs to leave, then they can pick up their trophy, you just like announce their name, but at least announce their name. But have an award ceremony. Like yeah, it takes a little bit longer, but this is for women, and it's a lot of money to get there, it's a lot of money to be in the tournament. So,
Mhm.
take the time to have an award ceremony
Mhm.
for the females. And if someone doesn't care about that, then yeah, they don't have to stay. But like a lot of people, it's a really big deal and it's a
Mhm.
major and there should be an award ceremony. And it would be nice to have like a little podium finish thing where, everyone can get a picture. And then I remember in Madison, Wisconsin, also they had like everybody that was a trophy winner, they got together and got a picture.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. Mhm.
afterwards with everyone together, which I thought that's like so cool, so I sort of wish that they would have done that this year, but there was nothing like that. There wasn't, as far as I know, there wasn't an award ceremony. At the end of the rounds at your course, you would be announced and
Mhm.
said who like the first place winner. But if you were anything else after second place, third place, whatever it was through, FA1 actually was awarded through 8 places, which I was very surprised about, which
Oh.
was cool. Um,
Mhm.
but there was no like award ceremony. You just went to like a table and you went and picked it up.
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean, I always think of like the Olympics, and again, I'm talking mainly just your major events. I'm not talking about every single event, just
yeah,
those really special events. Because I always think of like, again, like Formula One racing. After every event, they take them up on this little area and they stand the top three on. I mean, you don't have to get the champagne and spray everywhere like they do, but
yeah,
recognize them like that. I just, I think that again for the big tournaments, not for every tournament,
yeah,
just a thought. Just a thought.
yeah. I mean, even some small, very small tournaments do it, but at least, like you said, for the big tournaments, and I think definitely U.S. Women's. That's one thing,
Yeah.
and maybe I should like write a letter and say, hey, this would be something really nice to do, and just have like the PDGA tell whoever wins the bid for the
Hmm.
tournament, say, hey, like plan for an award ceremony
Yeah.
every year or something like that,
Mhm.
because it seems like it's been very dependent on who's running it, and especially last year, like I would love to just continue to have it in Burlington, North Carolina every single year. That was so fantastic to have everybody at one location. um but even there, like they kind of had like sort of an award ceremony thing. But yeah, even if you don't have that, someone has to go somewhere else, just it would just be nice to be able to be recognized. And I think especially for the amateur divisions too, because they're not as much in the public eye, you know, so getting them a little bit of recognition and really, because it's a for the women, it's about the women.
Mm-hmm.
We want to build the women up. And even, you know, that was something that was very time consuming for me to do over the week, but I really wanted to like highlight some women I knew and like be like, hey, look at look at what this person did and like put it out on my stories or whatever, because I love being able to support other women. I love seeing them succeed. And I love putting that out there, you know, and everyone needs that from time to time, you know, needs
Yep.
to be like, hey, good job, like you're doing well. Life is tough and there's so many critics and there's so many trolls online. Like, be the kind person, be the person who decides you're gonna choose to not be like jealous or allow any of those things to happen, and just to support other women. Like, if they do well, that's great. Even if you're not doing well, like, great job. So that, and I think that's what like an award ceremony is about. It's like, hey, good job. Like, you did awesome. Like, this is quite the accomplishment. Let's celebrate that with you.
Yep. Okay. To kind of run it out, we asked if anybody had any questions. I think as of right now, we only have one question. Do putting leagues help with regular putting?
I wouldn't know. I haven't done very many. But I
So the
think it
correct answer is maybe.
I think it probably would. I just haven't done very many. When we're the area, so I started disc golf in Blacksburg, Virginia, which is where I was going to grad school in Virginia Tech in chemical engineering. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of school either, so that's fine. I don't really care. You can have the Cavaliers. My sister went to UVA, so we actually went to the game together, the battle game, and
The
Virginia Tech.
Commonwealth Cup.
Yes. So anyway, I was in Virginia and we had a pretty decent group there, although like no women. And they just didn't have a putting league, you
Mhm.
know? And then I've been to a lot of other places, but I haven't ever been there long enough really to do it. And then before, when I got to Lakeland, they do actually have a putting league, but I was sick and bedridden for most of the time. So I did end up getting to go to maybe two of them, I think, before I
Mhm.
left. But it's still, I haven't been able to do putting leagues consistently enough. And when they have a putting league, like right before a tournament or during a tournament, I'm often just too exhausted or have other things that I need to do, or like social media I need to catch up on, or people I need to talk to. And so it's just been too much to be able to go to a putting league. But I'd like to be able to do more of them. We'll see. Maybe in the future I'll start doing more of a putting league. I was invited to like multiple putting leagues this week, and it would have been nice to have been able to go to one of them, but
I mean, my
not
my
yet.
my my thought is anytime you're out there throwing, it's going to help. So and then plus it's going to add a little bit of competitiveness to your putting. You kind of get that in your mindset as well. So my thought is it probably would help,
It
especially for
would.
especially for AMs.
I think it would, but on the other hand, I feel like I wouldn't feel like it was as important or as
Hmm.
much pressure as a tournament round, because a
Hmm.
tournament round, I'm thinking, okay, this is rating. You know, this is point, like there's definitely a higher stress level maybe that I put on myself, or more worry, I guess, with missing or making a putt in a tournament round. And that's something that I just need to work on some. And and I will get better. And it's more of just like getting up and really committing and using, you know, kind of full power while I'm putting. And that's just going to take a little bit of time, but yeah, good question.
Hmm.
Putting's so important.
I believe that's the only question we had. You know what? We're going to ask more questions in the on Instagram and other places. So hopefully we get more questions. Wait. Do you suggest any energy bars or sports drinks while playing?
Yes. So, um, what I did in 2022 when I was touring the country as an AM, and I played some FPO. I think I played 1/3 of my tournaments were FPO even that year, and then the 2/3 of them were FA1, I, especially for like 4 round tournaments, I would try to, during a round, I would drink plenty of water, but also drink a water bottle that was full of like a liquid IV. And then also, I would also often put like one of the emergency packets in there. So get
Mhm.
a bunch of like vitamin C and hydration. And I found that that really helped in keeping me in the game and helping my body to be able to handle that many rounds. And then in terms of energy bars, yeah, it's really day dependent because I often wake up and this is dependent on how early the round is too. So if it's a very early round, sometimes I'll be able to eat something in the morning and sometimes I won't. So the most important thing is if you haven't had a very substantial meal before you play, then yes, you need to bring something along with you, whether that is an energy bar, or whether it's like a protein shake thing, or whether it's a protein drink, or whether it's like a sandwich of some kind or trail mix, like just something that can give you that extra energy to be able to get through the round. Because I definitely find that if I don't eat or at all, or I don't eat much before a round, and then I try to finish an entire round, then I will definitely start to get too fatigued toward the end, and that can impact my play negatively.
Mhm.
So I often will try to do kind of a checkup with myself, or if I have my caddy with me, then I'll ask them like, hey, maybe around like hole 9, see how I'm feeling. Like,
Mhm.
do I feel like maybe I need to eat something, have a snack? And I think that's a fantastic idea. And part of it is just personal preference. You know, like are you going to be able to eat a granola bar or some energy bar or something like that during a round? If you can do that, then do that. If you need another snack, then grab whatever it is that will help you get that extra energy boost to finish out the round strong.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of having like a like a peanut bar. I think it's Nature Valley or something like that. Love having those with me, and I'm a Gatorade guy, and I know that is not good for me, but I am a Gatorade guy, so I always have a Gatorade or just a bottle of water with me. And my nutrition is usually if I eat too much at the beginning of a round, before I get there, I'm gonna be heavy for the first few holes. I got to eat light, and
Yeah.
then get something like midway if it's a really long round.
Yeah. So it just depends on what you eat and if you can like use the bathroom beforehand appropriately, depending on what you eat. But yeah. And my body has always been kind of like weird with that. So I mean, before even all the cancer and everything, I had like major stomach issues. So you're welcome. So I always had to be like, have to be careful about what I eat and if it's gonna, make me sick, or things like that. So for those of you who can eat anything and it doesn't really bother you, then that's awesome. That's the way to go. Just don't get sick. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely a
a good
struggle with
point.
morning rounds to like be able to get enough food down. So yeah, definitely. And even if you feel like you do have a decent meal beforehand, it could still be helpful to have a little bit of a snack,
Mhm.
after about 9 holes at about the halfway point. Just
Mhm.
kind of do a check and see where you're at.
Mhm. All right, well, that's all of our questions. What is next for Ace Baby?
Ace baby. So I made the executive decision to not go to Houston for, and also more importantly, not pay the Disc Golf Pro Tour an extra $50 to pay the qualifier. I'm giving them enough of my money. Every tournament is $350 for me without a tour card before tax and fees.
Wow.
So it ends up being like $365, and that is $50 more than tour card holders. Of course, tour cards cost some money, but usually sponsors will buy those for the players. Um, so if I play a qualifier, then I'm paying $100 more per tournament than anyone else in the tournament.
Wow.
And so I
It's
was
kind of
actually very
ridiculous.
surprised because it is kind of it is a lot. It's kind of like, hey, if you have these spots, like why, at least maybe the people who get in don't make them pay the $50, and then
Yep.
if the other people, it's like, okay, they have a round. But for the Open at Austin, it wasn't even a rated round. They didn't have it anywhere. It's like they got over $1,500 from us for the qualifier, and we didn't even have scoring live. Like nobody could follow along with us. And so I'm
Wow.
kind of like, okay, we're paying you this money, like at least put a little bit of effort into this. I felt like that was kind of cheating us a little bit.
Definitely.
Um, so, so anyway, last I had checked, I was fifth on the wait list, but then someone was asking me about it. I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm fifth on the wait list. And I think that was maybe Thursday even, or Friday. Maybe it was Friday. Um, and I looked and I was actually second on the wait list. And so I made the executive decision to not sign up for the qualifier because I'm pretty positive that I'm going to get off the wait list if I'm second, especially because the Disc Golf Pro Tour doesn't seem to like open up spots that should be open up maybe until later, or maybe there's some people that drop later on. So I feel pretty confident in about getting into the tournament without playing the qualifier and paying the extra $50. That's also cheaper for me because we have a friend that we're able to stay with here, and she was gracious enough to allow us to stay, a couple days longer. So my plan is to head to Houston. If anyone knows of someone that could host us in Houston, then let me know. But otherwise, we'll probably get like an Airbnb for Wednesday night through Sunday night, and then or through Saturday night, and then just leave like Sunday afterwards and then drive all the way back to Florida. Um, but also I'll try to practice the tournament. The next thing up is practice the course for Texas States. That's the next Disc Golf Pro Tour event. And that is in Houston. I'll practice Wednesday, I'll practice Thursday, and then the tournament will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Nice. All right. Now that you've been on for 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks now, does it feel like a traveling circus?
Oh, it's crazy. It's so crazy. There's so much stuff. Like our car is packed so full. It's Tetris. And I even told Andy, I was like, this is kind of fun for me. Like I love playing car Tetris. And so I told him, this time I'm gonna pack it and you'll just put the stuff out there and then I'll like pack everything in the car. Um, but yeah, and in some areas I overpack, but like I don't like flying to tournaments. And I haven't been able to usually because it's too expensive anyway,
Yep.
but I would much rather drive. I mean, it's still pretty expensive to drive because of gas, but yeah, have so much stuff, and it's like packing it up and then taking it out and then trying to have routines. I mean, traveling for a career, a profession, whatever you want to call it, is it's just a lot. It's crazy. You don't know what all goes into it. So I'm still figuring a lot of it out,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's hard. It's felt like way more than 2 weeks, honestly, but I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, next week we may or may not have a podcast.
I think well, if I don't play, but the
Yeah.
plan will be to have a
Yeah.
podcast.
Follow us on Instagram, and that way you will know for sure what we're doing. And I will tell you, so far, I am really enjoying this ride along we get to experience with you. So far, it's been absolutely amazing. And thank you for letting us kind of ride along with you so far.
It's really exciting. It's good for me to be able to think, like, have another avenue to think through my rounds and my tournaments and like what has happened. And I feel like that's going to help me as well. So you're helping me. The guys that are, all the people who are following along are helping me by asking questions, by being here, by just having a platform to be able to do this. So thank you, and a huge thanks to everyone that is watching and following along. Love you guys. Mwah.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for everyone in the chat. Everyone that's been asking questions. You guys are the awesome. So much appreciation for it. And if you haven't, smash that subscribe button, follow both of us on social media. Oh, she's over there now. Follow both of us
We
on
switched
social
halfway
media.
through.
Well, I do that so when I push this button right here, you're the big.
Yes.
Because if it's on the other side, then I'm the big, and no one wants to see that. So, anything else?
I think that's it. I'm sure I'm forgetting things, but we've almost an hour and a half. I feel like that's
Almost an hour
kind of
and a half
where
again.
we're at. Oh well, maybe it's just going to be an hour and a half podcast. Maybe eventually
Yes.
we'll get it down to an hour, but don't expect anything. So we'll
Yes.
see. Have
Yeah.
low expectations.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we have here. Very low expectations, but we're doing awesome. We are doing the awesome. But that's all we got. And you guys have an incredible day.
Bye. Love you guys.